is actually very close to being an almost perfect luxury SUV. It's the Lexus RX 450h Plus. It's a plug-in hybrid available in two forms in Australia, the luxury and the sports luxury. And to be honest, the base luxury is probably the one to go for. I mean, unless you really do want to indulge in the added features of this sports luxury. Either way, you're getting a 2.5 litre petrol 4-cylinder plug-in hybrid featuring a 18.1 kilowatt hour battery with a combined output of 227 kilowatts. That's fed through a CVT automatic transmission with all-wheel drive. So unlike the flagship 500h F Sport Performance, which features a 2.4 litre turbo petrol engine, this has the 2.5 litre, 134 kilowatts alone, which is not too bad. I mean, it's going to be a little bit sluggish if it was powering this by itself, but with the electric motor assisting, yeah, performance is very decent. We'll go for a drive in a minute and I'll show you, and we'll do the performance test later on as well. I think it looks very elegant and sculpted, especially in this sort of deep, rich silver color. You've got nice body lines and creases, not too much, not too over the top, and a perfectly rounded off rear end with a full width taillight trim at the back. Going with the sports luxury gets you these 21-inch alloy wheels. They're wrapped in 235/50 Bridgestone Alenza tyres. These are larger than the standard rims on the luxury. Being a plug-in hybrid, you've got the ability to charge this up. You've only got a Type 2 socket rather than a DC fast charging socket like some plug-in hybrids out there at the moment in the SUV class. But even so, if you've got 3-phase power at home, you can get the maximum out of that. You charge it up overnight quite easily, then you could drive it to work every day without using any petrol at all. Inside, you do have the electronic door handles, which I find really annoying because you've got the whole handle there anyway, and you've got a little button behind there, and it just electronically undoes the latch. It's fine, but you know, if you get a flat battery, it just seems like more of a hassle than what it's, you know, the benefits that it provides. The handle is not too bad though. Like you just push it, but it's also it doubles as the mechanical mechanism. So you just pull that out. So you could just use it as a normal handle, although it is a little bit fiddly being so small. And then having a look inside, yeah, the sports luxury is beautiful in here. You've got this kind of very soft brown, two-tone leather trim, Alcantara or suede-like sections for the outer seats just to give you some grip and hug you in, make you feel a bit special as well. Very soft leather for the seats as well. You've got perforations there for heating and cooling. Yeah, this is definitely a luxury vehicle. Very comfortable seats as well, and you've got a perfect driving position, which I think is important. You know, some vehicles out there promise luxury and all that, but then when you sit in them, they just feel a little bit weird, whereas this offers heaps of adjustment range from the seat and the electronic steering column. And just, yeah, you can easily find a perfect natural driving position. And now up on the dash here, we've got Lexus's latest touchscreen setup. I think it's okay. It's better than the sort of first generation of this latest system on Toyota and Lexus models, mainly because it has this main bar that remains there no matter what. So all of the main native system is a little bit basic, I guess, because there's a lot of white space. But obviously if you connect via Android Auto or Apple CarPlay, it takes over all of this and you've got some color and the typical grid layout for your apps. But yeah, this main bar remains there, and it's got this little section here with shortcuts, so you can turn the lane keep assist off or whatever you need, switch to eco mode and all of that. Yeah, you've got various settings, easy to just jump to that straight away no matter what's happening up here. And your climate panel's down there as well. Air conditioning button is always available, same with the temperature control. We do have a wireless phone charger hidden away down in this quite spacious storage area. And we've got cup holders and a nice big box in the middle as well. Passenger space is really good. After all, this is a large SUV categorized by Vbox. I think the pillar here, it doesn't sort of spear towards you as much as it does in the smaller NX. And I think that's where this is, yeah, definitely a little bit more practical, and it just has that perception of more space inside. My head's nowhere near the ceiling, and I've got plenty of room to kind of move about, but it still has that sort of high-ish and chunky center console to make you feel cocooned in rather than sitting on top of the vehicle. And up at the back, yeah, this is more evidence that this is a large SUV. It's definitely larger than the NX. I know I've referred to the NX twice now. This is a different class of vehicle, but I just want to emphasize that if you are cross-shopping and thinking, you know, oh, I could just do with the NX, this is definitely a larger vehicle if that's what you need. Like, I've got heaps of legroom, That seat's nowhere near me. Even if I rolled it all the way back onto the rails, it'd still have plenty of room. The roof is also a little bit more upright. It doesn't curve back like a coupe, like some rivals do. This, yeah, definitely feels spacious, open and airy. Even 3 adults across here, I think would be fine in terms of shoulder room and things like that. I've got a flip down armrest with a bit of a console here as well, cup holders, and then full climate control at the back with seat heating and cooling for the outer seats. More of that soft suede-like trim. It's not actually suede, it's just a cloth material, but it just feels really soft and nice. Got pull-up blinds there as well. It's two-tone slightly. You might not be able to see it on camera, but yeah, that's actually brown and this is black. But it's only subtle, which is kind of good. It doesn't stand out too much, but you can kind of notice with your eye rather than the camera. It is just sort of plastic down below, but that's actually a softer plastic on that section. Just that part is just hard plastic. You've got button operation for the seats as well. So recline adjustment, and you can fold it all the way forward if you want to access or open up more boot space. And then right up the back, you've got a massive boot here. The plug-in hybrid setup doesn't seem to sap any room at all. It does mean you have a tyre repair kit instead of a space saver spare or full-size spare for that matter. You've also got button operation to pop down the rear seats from the back, as well as a 12-volt socket. But that's what I mean about this being a great all-rounder. You've got heaps of boot space, heaps of passenger space, and then the advantages of the plug-in hybrid powertrain. I mean, it would be ideal if it had a space saver spare, or I mean, a full-size spare would be absolutely perfect in terms of grand touring ability, because with the repair kit, yeah, it's just not ideal. So there are situations where the repair kit won't work, such as a blowout on the sidewall of the tyre, or even just, yeah, you might not get into those gaps. But also, when you use the tyre repair kit, it puts all glue around the rim, so it actually costs a lot of money, or it costs more money, sorry, just to change the tyre, because they've got to get rid of all that extra glue that's sprayed everywhere. If it had a space saver, obviously it would take up more boot space, but I think it would improve its grand touring ability. But other than that, yeah, this is a good all-rounder in terms of being able to get you to work and back on electric power, but then you can go for a drive on the weekends and do some proper touring. All right, let's go for a drive now and see how it goes. Out on the road, it showcases its excellent all-round ability once again, because I'm averaging 5.4 litres per 100 kilometres, and I've been running in the HV mode, the hybrid mode. There's also the EV mode, and that's not the most efficient way to drive any plug-in hybrid. The most efficient way to drive it is, of course, charge it up, run it in EV mode, then you're not using any petrol at all, which you can do in this. You've got that EV button, but 5.4 litres per 100 in the real world is awesome economy for a large luxury SUV, let alone running a plug-in hybrid in hybrid mode. Compared with some of the more modern plug-in hybrids that are coming out, especially those from China, look, some of those do offer a bigger battery, so you've got more electric range, but they're paired with usually a smaller engine, like a 1.5 turbo petrol. So when the battery is depleted or very low, it relies on a small engine to get things moving, and because you've got a bigger battery, which yes does provide more range, it's heavier. So some of those are pushing 3 tons. This weighs 2.2 tons. That's quite light for a modern luxury plug-in hybrid. And I think that's what helps with economy when the battery is low or when you're running in a hybrid mode, because it doesn't have to push such a heavy thing to cruise along, but also you've got a 2.5 litre good rotating mass or heavy rotating mass there to help it just cruise along. It doesn't have to, it doesn't have to work hard basically. And well, yeah, the results speak for themselves. 5.4 in the real world is absolutely awesome. That's what I found with the Lexus NX plug-in hybrid as well. You can actually drive this as a hybrid. You don't have to always plug it in to get the most out of it. Now, obviously, some of the modern plug-in hybrids that are coming out do offer lots of power. So, yeah, there is that advantage of those models. This still goes fine, though. You've got a sport mode that sharpens up throttle response. Lexus claims 0 to 100 in 6.5 seconds, which is perfectly fast enough for a large luxury SUV. Full power. You've got immediate response of the electric motors, giving you that initial shove, and then the petrol engine comes in a little bit later on. And has that typical CVT whirring noise. Look, it's not a driver's choice or a driving enthusiast choice. You'd rather a torque converter automatic just to give you that stepped progression. But yeah, the out of sync engine and the electric motors, that's very typical of a plug-in hybrid. So you don't get that real engagement there where you feel like you're using the engine to help push you along. You've still got excellent shove, but it's just, yeah, it's not quite as natural or as traditional, I guess is the best word. As I said though, it still goes fine, easy overtaking, really picks up. It doesn't feel like that engine is straining too much. I mean, it does rev and likes to rev pretty high, but yeah, it doesn't feel like it's struggling even when you're running in the hybrid mode. Now, in terms of ride and handling, I think this offers a good balance between sportiness and comfort. You've got the normal mode, which does relax the dampers. When you put it into sport mode, you can see the little highlighted dampers there. So it does actually have adaptive dampers. They've got that multi-personality. I think in the sport mode, on country roads like this, it probably is just a little bit too firm. It causes some rattles in the cabin as well, mainly from the rear, like maybe the the security blind or something like that. The low profile tires on these larger rims would also contribute there. That's why I think the Luxury is probably the best pick, like the best balance. It'll have taller tires, so it can absorb country roads a bit nicer. Back in normal mode though, I think, yeah, that's perfectly fine for Australian country roads. The cabin is very refined and quiet. You've actually got double glazed windows or laminated glass, acoustic glass, whatever you want to call it, on both the front and back windows. A lot of rivals out there have it just on the front side windows. So yeah, you've got that extra level of Lexus quality there. In terms of handling, look, I don't think this is the best handling SUV in this class, if that's what you're after, but I think this does perfectly fine. I like the steering in this, just feels very, you know, fluid and like it's gliding around, like most Lexus models actually. And there seems to be heaps of grip as well, even when you're pushing pretty hard through a tighter, twistier road. Overall, this is, as I said, an excellent all-rounder. It really does package in a lot of attractive qualities in terms of being, you know, very efficient, quite powerful, spacious and luxurious inside. I think the Luxury trim level is the pick though, because yeah, you're saving about 25 grand and you're still getting pretty much the same package. It's going to drive pretty much the same as this, although you do have those taller profile tires on smaller rims, which are probably going to suit country roads better than these big 21s. But yeah, very easy to drive. You've got good visibility all out the front, including in between the pillar and the mirror. Out the back, it's a little bit tighter. The sort of the rear of the car does swoop down a little bit, and you've got very chunky rear D pillar or E pillar right at the very back, so that does take up a little bit of space. But you've got a comprehensive surround view camera system to help you out in tight car parks and so on. All right, let's head off now and do the performance test and see how it goes.